When you were a kid, what was a sign that a kid you knew came from a family that had money? My friend would give me more money for lunch than my parents. Holy crap, this is so real. My family didn't have too much growing up, and I had just transferred out of a public school and got a partial scholarship to go to a private middle school/high school. My parents thought lunch prices were going to be the same, so I received $5 a week for food. We didn't have money, so I never wanted to tell my parents that $5 a week wasn't enough. So I just waited until the end of the school day so that I could walk to McDonald's for a $1 McChicken or McDouble, because school lunches were $5 minimum for a mini plate. I had 2 friends help me throughout my rough financial time in high school. They saw that I would never eat at school and basically fed me without pitying me. One friend would order more than he could eat and would always ask me if I could do him the favor of finishing his food so it doesn't go to waste. The other friend would do things like, hey, I'll bet you lunch you can't do this. And it'd be something simple, like you have 3 shots to shoot this paper ball into the trash can, or ace to drink this water bottle first, or even just I'll buy you lunch if you walk to the cafeteria with me. I didn't really realize too much when I was younger, and I thought they were just rich and were careless with their money. It turns out they took notice to the fact that I didn't eat at school. They told me in college that they always saw me with nothing at lunch, and when we hung out after school, I would only buy the one McChicken/McDouble, and I would still be asking friends for the 10 cents I needed for tax. These were the first friends I've made before I even knew the true value of money, and they are still 2 of my best friends to this day. Edit. This is how everyone should treat their friends. Would miss weeks of school because they were always on vacations. There was a girl in my uni class who was the sister of a supermodel. She was barely ever there because she was usually visiting Tokyo or something with her sister. She was nice though. He bought everyone snacks all the time and never asked that they pay him back. I swear the kid spent about $500 a year on us in colas. When I taught at a private school, I had a student like that. I swear he had a crisp new $20 bill every day to buy chips and candy and whatnot for his friends at lunch. He was also picked up by his 16-year-old sister in her hybrid vehicle. They had fancy vacations or even several vacations each year. I hated first days of school when the teachers would ask everyone what they did over the summer, and you have a fine Paige over there who went to Europe, and Connor who went all around the United States. And the most I did was maybe get froyo if I was lucky. There were different queues for levels of wealth. I thought I was pretty well off as I could ask for and get the big box of Crayola crayons with a sharpener, and my shoes were bought new. When I got a scholarship to a prep school, I learned that wealthier families traveled during school breaks. The most ridiculously wealthy kids got brand new cars for passing their driving test. The cars were replaced once damaged. When they were able to use the internet on their flip phone without freaking out cause you accidentally push the internet button. Oh, the panic of the internet button. When you scramble to hit the back button 10 times until you just power off the phone and pray that you did it in time. You'll have to spend another 5 minutes typing out that text again on the 10 key. But it is worth it to avoid the wrath of the parents when they get the cell bill. Good times. This is a really specific example, but I was in 5th grade and all the 5th grade classes were competing for a pizza party. The class that donated the most money to this glass jar each classroom had would get the pizza party. As an adult, I understand how weird and sketchy that sounds, having elementary kids donate money to their public school, but it's been a couple of decades now, and I didn't question it considering how often we had to do fundraising and go sell stuff to neighbors and extended network. It was the last day and my class was in 2nd place. This one kid asked how far behind we were, and the teacher said something like $15 as of the beginning of the day. This kid pulled out his checkbook and wrote a check for $50 to go in the jar just to cover all bases regarding the other class. I mean, for $50, that kid could have just thrown us a pizza party, but in 5th grade it seemed pretty cool. Matching furniture sets. Our house was decorated in functional second-hand. My parents too were students of that school of design. They would have discussions about furniture like, well, I think the green couch will work well because we don't have a refined choice. And my mom would say, well okay, but then we need to augment the feng shui by getting a table that the neighbors give us for free because we don't have a refined choice. They were passionate about interior design. As a young kid, it was their clothes, lunches, and general appearance. They kind of stood out from us legions of poorer kids at the school. We ate the hot lunch at a reduced or free rate. They brought in neat sandwiches, individual bags of chips, high C, and Little Debbie or Hostess desserts. There was a girl in my elementary school I don't think I ever saw wear the same outfit twice. And they were nice clothes, not hand-me-downs from mom, which put our yard sale and homemade clothes to shame. I'm relatively well off, considered rich in my area of the country, and I would be happy to dress my kids in hand-me-downs and yard sale finds. No shame in that. Shame on those who would try to shame you. Better to save money to ensure the kids get a great education while lobbying G to open education to all with an equal opportunity. Not a kid, but I'm working at a summer camp at a club nearby. People who are members of this club are pretty rich and sometimes I hear kids talking about how much fun they had on their grandpa's boat over the weekend. In just their thinking, wow, these guys got a boat. They weren't wearing 4-stripe Adidas. 5th grade. I remember the pairless 4-stripe Adidas. I was so self-conscious and wanted to fit in so badly that I pulled the stitches from the 4th stripe and cut it off. One of the cool kids called me out in class and all the other kids laughed at me. Good times. They had a Sega and a Nintendo. Fridge with ice on the door and a dishwasher. The fridge one is one of mine too. Bonus points if they could get ice cubes and crushed ice at the push of a button. My poorer could only have ice if I had the foresight to put water in an ice cube tray 4 to 5 hours before I wanted it. So basically never. When I was a kid I grouped people based on how much space they had dedicated to them in their homes. Super poor kids shared a room with other people which was also used for other purposes. Regular poor kids, like myself, shared a room with their siblings. But the room was used only for that purpose. Normal wealthy kids each got their own room. Fantastically wealthy kids had several rooms. This started when I was visiting a pretty fantastically wealthy friend, and he made a comment about his vending machine room. Sure enough, dude had a room with vending machines, all stocked with products. That's one of the stranger uses I've seen. Why put things that require you to pay in your own home? But in general, it seemed pretty common to have some sort of bizarre use of space. Gotta do something to fill those giant homes. Good hair and good skin. The girls always had flawless skin and never wore makeup, or at least did it so well it looked like they didn't, and could afford hair products, treatments, and maintenance. I was over there with too much eyeliner and winter frizz. My aunt married a man with money, while my mum didn't. They weren't rich but very wealthy, so I got to see the kids with money as they were family, while I myself wasn't one of them. I starts with clothes, going to the best stores, getting an item here and there while the price didn't matter, having a huge closet with all kinds of clothes in it, or just going shopping for new stuff when there wasn't anything else to do. They had like 3 PlayStations, Nintendo stuff, new iPods every 2 years, new laptops or other cool stuff. The family had new cars every few years as well. While normal and poorer people don't go on vacation very often, they did plenty of times, all over Europe, the USA or Australia. Not once a year but several times. When they were home they did spend their time playing golf. Did I mention shopping? But on the bright side, when you do not grow up with this kind of wealth, you don't necessarily need it when you are grown up. It's nice to be able to afford it, but you are still able to live a normal life without chasing the money. Those kids all do not have the income their father had, while they still are above average. They struggle to afford their old lifestyle by themselves, and it is making them uncomfortable. They kind of need to take a step back, which is hard for them. I'm not sure if they will ever be able to be truly happy without that much money. She literally has the newest phone every time one came out, and even had her own credit card in her, mind you, clear phone case. I became friends with her and got Chick-fil-A a lot. She was an only child, so her parents gave her half of their income. She had Gucci belts and Louis Vuitton purses and shoes and even had one of the biggest homes in town. The fact that they were so casual about it. Poor kids have hand-down clothes and cheap stuff. Middle class kids would have normal clothes. Rich kids would indirectly brag about having money. Latest iPhone each year. Expensive clothes / shoes / watches. These kids had FU money. They were not the sons of people with one extra house or some investments. Also not the sons of lawyers making plus 200k yearly. They were the sons of the people building closed HOAs and entire dormitory cities, while also getting government deals on whatever, if it could be built or traded. Their parents were there. They had normal $10 shirts, a good phone that lasted them 2 years, but was never the oldest model. Their parents used an okay minivan. They always had enough money for a sandwich in the cafeteria. They never missed material stuff. But they also never bragged about material stuff. They didn't have the need of rich kids to look rich nor the jealousy of middle class kids of not being able to afford something they wanted or something the rich kids had that they didn't. They just were so casual about money. They wanted the best deal price / performance. If they wanted some gin they had it. But they hated the expensive stuff that is expensive for the sake of being expensive. And they never bragged about anything material. Heck, they didn't even brag about their own achievements and were never rude about it.